now also reaffirming our request to the federal and state authorities to send monitors to San Francisco to oversee this election. There has just been too many examples of violations of law, of illegal activities, and we've got to stop this. So many of us come from different communities where many individuals did not want to participate in the electoral process. They did not want to vote. They did not want to participate in any voting whatsoever because they did not believe in that particular process. As someone who has served this city for over 23 years, I have labored to talk to many individuals in my communities and other communities that this is an honorable process. The city is extremely important in terms of protecting our democracy, and we have said that we need to participate because it is in fact a fair and an honorable process. What he has done is to pervert this process. He's just really trying to steal this election, and we've got to say enough is enough. So with that, let me ask some of my other fellow candidates to speak on this particular matter.
Yeah, go ahead, Dennis.
Thank you. I just want to speak for myself and say that here we are in the last 5 days of the mayoral campaign. It's been a heated campaign. It's been a long campaign. And while each of us and the other candidates that are running in this race are out there making our individual pitches as to why we each deserve to be the next mayor of the city and county of San Francisco, we do stand united in our desire to make sure that the integrity of the process is protected, that it is fair, and that the public knows that whatever the result is one that reflects and celebrates the involvement of the voters in the city and county of San Francisco. There's been about 45,000 absentee ballots that have already been turned in. Voting started 3 weeks ago. If we look at the history of this campaign, there have been a number of instances which raise questions about whether everybody involved in the process is respecting the integrity of the process with respect to fundraising, with respect to how votes are being counted. There have been a number of supporters of Mayor Lee and independent expenditures that have been embroiled in some controversy. That's been publicly reported. There's been 2 reported allegations of money laundering. There has been at least evidence put forth that perhaps the integrity of the franchise was not respected with respect to how absentee ballots were being filled out. And that caused those of us here, as well as other candidates, to file complaints with the FPPC and with the Department of Justice and with the Secretary of State, asking each, and the District Attorney's Office, asking all of them within their respective spheres of jurisdiction to take whatever action necessary to ensure the integrity of the process, whether it be with respect to campaign finance, whether it be with respect to how votes are tabulated. And you saw yesterday recent allegations, the most recent allegations in the San Francisco Chronicle, which caused all of us to be concerned and to renew our call to the Secretary of State and to the Department of Justice to send monitors to make sure that the process on Tuesday with Election Day voting is fair, that it be observed to ensure that the integrity of the franchise be protected. And that is the most important thing, that San Francisco voters have confidence that their votes are being fairly cast, that they're being counted. And that's what all of us in this process want, and what all the candidates in this process want. And we're hopeful that the Secretary of State or the Department of Justice will respond to our request by the end of this week, so the public can have confidence that whatever happens on Tuesday is done fairly and with integrity. Thanks very much.
I'm short, but I'm tough. I'll do my best. Our interim mayor is not Pontius Pilate. You can't take the tough issues and then just walk away and wash your hands and pretend that it has nothing to do with you. Part of what we're seeing in this race is a persists and that it is escalating should really be a point for all of us to stand back and take notice. Because any strong leader would have stopped this from happening, and they would have stopped it from going to the extent that that this has gone. Yesterday's news with actual money laundering allegations is very, very severe stuff. And here we all sit. A number of us have been serving the city and county of San Francisco as elected officials for quite some time. We have not seen accusations like this in the last 8 years. We have 16 candidates in this race, and of that, 15 of them have not had a problem raising money and doing it legally and above board for the last up to 2 years. And the fact that this race is under the type of scrutiny it is, and this particular candidate is under the type of scrutiny he is under, is a very remarkable place to be. And so I hope, we all hope that everyone here takes this seriously. We certainly hope that the Department of Justice does as well. And so thank you for being here today.
We're also polite with one another in terms of so I'm not a City Hall insider, and it's just been fascinating to come to this process, and I really believe that we have our differences here as candidates, but we do stand united because none of us believe that we're above the law. And this whole process, I can tell you, coming from the outside, has been extremely distressing to me because I believe San Francisco is a great democracy, and we are really violating the democratic process in terms of what's happening. As Michela said, Interim Mayor Lee should have stepped up as a leader the minute any of these allegations were brought up and said, this is wrong, I want this to cease and desist immediately. And to say that I have no ability to stop this from happening is completely unacceptable. I teach leadership, and I would love for Interim Mayor Lee to take my class, because he would learn that leaders lead out in front. Leaders take responsibility. You take hold of an issue as the first step, and I think it is his obligation to make sure that this stops. We owe the people of San Francisco just a much better process, and I would hate to see the day after Election Day, room 200 be auctioned off to the highest bidder. And we need to go back to having this be a democracy. Thank you.
You know, being here, I realize that as candidates, what we say may be interpreted as self-serving. But we're here for a broader purpose, and that's to answer the question, should integrity matter? Should it matter in this election, and should it matter in San Francisco? Ed Lee was appointed mayor based on his promise that he would not run for office. It wasn't just a promise that was made to people. It was a promise made to the people who appointed him. When he jumped into the race, he promised that he would not take public financing because he did not want to overtax the city. Yet, he has broken the spending cap numerous times and has brought the spending level for public financing to $1.8 million. He said that he was going to deliver pension reform. That was the consensus view, and that he would act in the best interest of the city. Yet he turned around and he gave a raise to the highest paid employees 2 weeks after introducing his measure, and then received the endorsement of those organizations. I don't need to review what you read in the paper. But what's important here is that it does come down to a question of integrity. When you have ballot fraud going on, when you have money laundering going on, the point isn't whether Ed Lee actually knew about this. The point is that it's occurring because the people who are benefiting from this are expecting payback. And people have asked the question, is the political machine still alive in this town? Absolutely. If it walks like a duck, if it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, you better believe it's a duck. And that duck is a political machine in this town, and the person who's riding that duck is Ed Lee. And so we're gathered here today to tell voters, you need to pay attention to this election. This is a critical election. And if we don't make the right decision, we're going to have the same old political machine, the same old contractors who are bilking the city for millions of dollars. We're going to be running the city again. So please pay attention. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. With that, I'm sure that any of you may have questions. My fellow candidates, we're happy to answer them.
What is it, in your opinion, that the mayor has done specifically
I would say it's what they haven't done. What they haven't done is said, when the first allegation came out, we need to stop this. This is unacceptable. Do not do this on my behalf. This is not good for the city and the people of San Francisco.
This is a very small town. When it comes to campaigning, you have your people out there on the streets. You have independent extremists out there. You know what's happening. Well, we have tents set up, in areas of Chinatown and District 3. And you have people who are out there showing people how to fill in ballots. Using stencils to fill in ballots. I mean, that's something that is undeniable that happened. And the candidate has to be held responsible.
What about this transit system they're trying to put in from Stockton for about a mile and a half? It's going to cost billions of dollars. I think that's kind of ridiculous.
I don't know. That's
I agree with you. I've made my position on the Central Subway known. I don't think it's a proven investment. It's gone from $657 million to $1.6 billion.
Crazy.
Happy to talk to you afterwards. But I think today we're going to be focused a little bit on the integrity.
I'm running for president on the independent party, and I'm having town hall meetings about it.
All right. Any other questions?
Back on this subject, I mean, you said that Lee needs to this or that. He has. So what else did he do?
You asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
No. What I've said is that we have had 2 cases of money laundering. Money laundering. Can't do that. That's illegal. We've had a situation whereby with his supporters, they have broken the law when they take an absentee ballot and they take it away from that particular voter. Can't do that. That's illegal. And what I'm saying to Ed Lee is that you ought to stop that from happening. You can't just simply say, well, I don't like that happening. I don't want that to happen, and then just kind of walk away. You are the interim mayor of the city and county of San Francisco. If there's a bank robber out there, you just simply say, well, I don't like that, and then just allow these things to occur. You are the leader of the city and county of San Francisco, and the only thing you can say is that, well, I don't like it, and it should not happen. You ought to be doing a lot more. The individuals and the organizations that are helping him out, they're his closest friend. He's admitted to that. CCDC, the Chinatown Community Housing Corporation, is one of his closest allies. They have worked with him, they have supported him, and you can't tell them that what you are doing is wrong, and you should stop that right now, not just encourage them, but you should also do that right now. That is what's wrong. What we are seeing now is an election that is being perverted, and that is something that's absolutely unacceptable to any of us.
Where do the investigations stand?
The Supreme Court said that they could do that.
The calls for the monitors, the calls for the guidance. Where's that standing right now?
Well, there's a couple of things, Carolyn. First, the district attorney is, as you're aware, investigating now, has 3 separate criminal investigations. We're not privy to that information, and I trust the district attorney is going to continue those investigations and complete them forthwith. But I don't know if, to me, 3 criminal investigations in one election cycle is pretty dramatic. I'm unfamiliar with anything in my period of time here in the city and county of San Francisco where I've ever seen that occur. With respect to the Secretary of State and the Department of Justice, in response to our joint call that election monitors be sent to San Francisco, we have been led to believe that we will receive a response from the federal authorities by tomorrow. So we'll be expecting that, and I've been also told that we can expect a response from the California Secretary of State. So we're looking forward to that. But in light of these most recent allegations that were in the Chronicle yesterday, we thought it important that we highlight that in anticipation of the response we'll be receiving from the federal and state government.
Are you saying basically that by Mayor Lee's less than dramatic statements against this behavior, that it's basically winking a nod and a message that he's really telegraphing to his various fundraisers and independent committees is that this behavior is okay with him?
No, I mean, I take the mayor at his word when he says that he wished this wasn't happening. My concern is that these things didn't come to light until people got caught. And these are not new coincidences that we've seen. We've seen these in the past. This is how the political machine in this town operates.
So do you think that there's a lot more of this possibly going on in this campaign that has not been caught?
Well, put it this way. I mean, the fact that they haven't come forward with findings of any investigation or even agreed to do an investigation causes any concern. Because you only have a few more days. It's not going to do any good to find out about this on November 9th. We need to find out about this now. We need to see how this may have affected ballots that have already been passed. But beyond that, again, we have to look, is it just a coincidence that these things are happening to Mayor and Lee? Is it just having, a bad, 3 or 4 months? This is something that, again, has been endemic in the city, and it needs to stop. So it really comes down to the question, does it actually happen?
Well, and also, let's just also bear in mind that the papers hit him pretty hard the first time with the lorry. The lorry's out of the airport. And then we wake up tomorrow morning, and not only has it happened again, but now it's in writing, in emails. Going back to what Jeff was saying about a duck, I mean, it is blatant, it is in our face, and it is escalating. It's not going away. And so, as Carolyn had asked earlier, well, how do you, he's gotten out there and he said it. He said once, we want this to cease and desist, and then quietly walked away. And then what happens? It happens again. Your friends are going to stop, and they're going to hear you, and they're going to respect you. And if your friends aren't respecting you, and they're doing what they want, you have another problem and another lack of leadership. These are very serious allegations that San Francisco has not seen in years and years. And they are escalating and becoming bigger, and they are continuing.
One question. Dennis, can you run down the criminal investigations that are taking place right now? You mentioned 3 of them. Just explain what the charges are behind them. And a follow-up question for Jeff. How can you take the mayor's word on anything that he lied about running?
There's 3 investigations. One, the Go Lorries matter. 2, the matter that was reported in the Chronicle yesterday with respect to Archway Property Services, and 3, the voter fraud allegations with respect to the independent expenditure handling the ballots in Chinatown. So there are 3.
Doesn't freedom of speech by the Supreme Court mean you can give as much money as you want to the candidates? Go talk to the Supreme Court. They pass freedom of speech that you can contribute all the money you want to them. And that's one thing I will help San Francisco on one thing. Get rid of PG&E and have the state and the state run the Utilities Commission like they do, because that's what you need. They're not going to clean up those pipelines.
Are you I'm sorry, your question?
How can you take the mayor on his word? You said earlier that you take him on his word. I'm asking you, how can you take him on his word if he lied about running?
Right. People have said that San Franciscans don't care that Ed Lee changed his mind. And I guess I would recast that question and ask it this way. Does it matter if you lied or misrepresented something in your job application when you were hired? Most people would probably say yes. And what happened in this instance is that Ed Lee did promise the people who hired him for the job, and that is the members of the Board of Supervisors who voted that he would not run for the position. In my book, that's something very different than simply saying at one point that you're not going to run and then deciding to run. But what's even more important, though, is that we have to look at whether or not Mayor Lee kept his promises with respect to pension reform, with respect to public financing and ensuring that more funds weren't expended. And I think when you look at consistently what we've seen, we have a track record to look at. And my concern again is that we need to make sure that people are paying attention, that integrity matters in this election.
Do you think that Mayor Lee should drop out of the race because of all these scandals?
Yes.
Before we do that, I know my colleagues, they've got tight time schedules, so why don't we end this, and then if there are further questions of individual candidates, feel free to ask them at that time.
Can I just ask a quick organizational thing? How did you five happen to come together? Did you ask the other candidates to join you too?
Barbara, this is, if you go back and look at the letter that we sent jointly to Secretary of State and Department of Justice several weeks ago, there were a number of us, all of us included here, as well as a couple of others.
And so I was wondering, like Avalos and David Chu, were they asked to come today?
Yeah, I think that they were, but unfortunately they had scheduling issues. So I think that all of us have been uniform in caring about these issues and trying to make sure that the integrity of the ballot is protected.
Thank you.
All right, with that, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.